The Dodgers are now one win away from getting back to the World Series. Shohei Ohtani hit a leadoff home run, his first hit with the bases empty this postseason. And then one of the other MVPs, Mookie Betts, hit a two-run homer in the sixth. Betts driving in 4 runs in this game. In 4 games, Betts pitchers have issued 31 walks. Back here with David Samson, Ohtani and Betts power the Dodgers to a 3-1 series lead. LA capitalizes with runners on, the Mets don't, and walks continue to plague them. Are you kidding me? 31 walks, David? Can't have that.
You're not going to beat any team with this lack of command that the Mets pitching staff has had. But we talked about it before the game, and if the top of the lineup is going to do what it did and the MVPs are going to be MVP-like with Ohtani and Betts, and then you mix in the unbelievable cleanup hitter, Edman, you're talking about a team that just won't be beaten. And if you're the Mets, you just have to clean it up. All of these bases on balls, it's crushing. It's so crushing to your offense when your pitching does that.
The Mets have left 20 on base in the last 2 games, and this one 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. I mean, just not coming up with the clutch hit. The Dodgers are coming up with the clutch hit. The Mets aren't. Does it feel like the magic has run out for the Mets?
So the thing about runners in scoring position is you believe that over time it's going to regress to what your batting average is as a team.
Sure.
You can go through a stretch of games where you're going to do an offer or you're going to have a real problem driving in those runners, but you keep at it. You want runners on base. The real issue, if the Mets are going to get back in this series, and it's not over, keep in mind what's happened in last year's NLCS. It is possible for the Mets to win 3 games in a row, but it starts with that pitching. They've got to stop putting Dodgers runners on base. I'm going to keep saying it, Hakeem, because that's the biggest takeaway. Not runners in scoring position, not Ohtani, not Betts. The biggest storyline is all of those walks.
It is. 31 walks in 4 games.
Unheard of.
You're just giving free passes, and they're just scoring runs off of it. They've outscored them 30-9. This has been one of those series where you think the Mets are going to punch back, and the opportunity presents itself, and it just never happened in this game at all.
Well, yes, it actually happened in the first inning.
Right, it did there.
Ohtani hits a home run.
And
Vientos comes back.
But in the later moments of the game, it just never happened.
So really, after it was 1-1, what happened with the Dodgers, they kept getting runners on base because they kept getting free passes, and they could not contain the top of the lineup. And remember, Freddie Freeman wasn't playing, so everybody moved up a slot, and you had Teoscar, couldn't get a hit, but yet he walked twice. When you've got Betts on base, Muncy basically tied a record for on base in the postseason, plate appearances, 12 in a row. He was on base another 4 or 5 times. That's what's going to happen. Eventually, you're going to get the hits. The Mets did not today. The Dodgers did.
Did you have any issues with the way that Carlos Mendoza deployed his lineup? Were there any moments in this game you go, ooh, why do we pinch hit here? Why do we do this here? Why? Like, I didn't like, you go to Budo and then you go to Maton. I didn't love those 2 moves because I think those guys are not big game pitchers. They have not done well in big moments. They can pitch for you, but not in a close game like this.
Do you expect him to go to Diaz?
No.
So here's the problem.
No, I don't expect him to go to Diaz, but it just some of these decisions when you're in this spot, maybe you do, right? You got to be desperate sometimes.
Oh, so interesting. Is it desperation time for the Mets right now, down 3-1?
Yes.
Because of the way they've lost the game?
Yes.
Because the pitching staff keeps putting runners on base?
Every starter has issued at least 4 walks in every start.
It's going to be hard to win a series like that, but you cannot go into tomorrow's game saying, oh, this is desperation time. You've got to see, if you're the Mets, you've just got to play your game and hope that the pitching staff does better. That's the bottom line. So what did Mendoza do that could have been different? Could he have employed pinch hitting and maybe gotten a runner in a scoring position by maybe hitting Winker 1 spot earlier, maybe keeping Bader so he could have hit? You know what? It feels that way when you don't get a hit with runners in scoring position. The problem is everything feels like your decisions were wrong and you're playing the results. And the process for Mendoza has been really good this season, especially in the last couple weeks with this amazing run the Mets have been on, so I'm not blaming him.
How do you expect the Mets to respond?
They're not going to give up.
No, they're not.
I promise you that.
No, they're not. If you win on Friday and, hey, we go back to L.A.,
So I thought that they'd try to win and needed to win 2 out of 3, go back to LA needing 1 out of 2. But I had to go back. Our team had to go back to Chicago in the LCS and win both on the road, 6 and 7. The Diamondbacks last year went on the road and won 6 and 7. But here's the key when you're down 3-1, and this ring happened down 3-1. You've got to just win 1 game at a time in the LCS. So the Mets aren't focused on LA, but let me give you a little nugget. They're going to bring suitcases to the ballpark.
Yeah, well, they have to.
You pretend you're going on the road.
Right. Yeah, you gotta prepare like something might happen. This sets up to be magical still, right? Because we could sit here and go, outscored 30-9 in this series. Ohtani's hit a couple homers. Mookie Betts is looking like the MVP he once was. They're getting production from Tommy Edman. The starting pitching has been a question mark coming into this postseason, and it's shutting the Mets down. You got Flaherty going in Game 5. This would be the perfect scenario for the Mets, not to Met. It would be to meet the moment, because that's what they have done all this postseason.
It's going to be very simple math, and we can look at one stat only. If the top 3 in the batting order tomorrow are on base 10 times total between the 3 of them, the Dodgers are going to the World Series. That's the number. You cannot allow them on base as much as they've been on base these past couple of games, and that is what is going to be the focus. When Mendoza goes to bed tonight, he's going to bed praying to the command gods. He needs command out of his pitching staff.
Let's go Mets. Down 3-1. Let's go Mets. Okay,
You're saying there's a
Mets.
chance.
There is.
Big time.
It's not over. It's not over. And you know, it also wasn't over in Game 3 of the ALCS. I thought it was over.
Three times it was over.
As a Cleveland fan, I thought it was over. It was an instant classic. Judge and Stanton go back-to-back to give the Yankees the lead in the 8th. Then John Kinsey Noel ties it with a homer in the bottom of the 9th. David Fry hits a walk-off home in the 10th. This is the definition of a bonkers game, instant classic. It was awesome what we witnessed in Cleveland on this night.
Let's just remember, because no one's talking about it, Clase gave up 2 home runs for the first time in his career in the same inning. When Judge and Stanton go back-to-back, it's over. But not with this Guardian team. This is not your normal AL Central team who just is going to get walked over and run over by the Yankees. You're talking about a 90-plus win team. You're talking about a lockdown bullpen that is showing exhaustion, just like the Yankees bullpen showed some exhaustion. But the way teams respond to these type of walk-off losses, you go to the clubhouse, you get dressed, you go back to the hotel, you go out, you come back tomorrow, same routine, all easy, all good. I promise you, Aaron Boone's team, they are not wearing this loss for 5 minutes after Fry crosses home plate.
So you think the Yankees come back on Friday and they're ready to go fresh with Luis Gil?
Fresh as a daisy, and that's the key. You're talking about 2 number 4 starters, but wink, wink, they're really 2 number 7 starters. But now in baseball today, that's who starts Game 4s. You've got Hill for the Yankees and Williams for the Guardians, and the race to 5 is what we're going to call Game 4. It's the race to 5 innings. Which pitcher? Yankees, Guardians, Hill, Williams. That will be the key to that game.
Luis Gil faced the Guardians this year. They lost in extra innings. He went 3 innings, gave up 3 runs. I'm going to say unbiased, wink, wink, we're going to have a tie series after tomorrow.
I'm saying that what Gil did in the regular season with the Guardians could not be less meaningful.
Well, you know what? It helps me sleep at night, okay? From down 0-2 to 2-1 and a chance to go even Steven as you take a look at the probable pitching matchup for Game 4. These are the guys that are going to go out there. It's Luis Gil and Gavin Williams. And look, these guys haven't pitched in a while. Luis Gil hasn't pitched since September 28th. Gavin Williams last pitched on September 22nd, both making their postseason debut. First pitch set for just after 8 p.m. Eastern time in Cleveland.